horror movies. It's that genre that never gets sick. That it's like that one. How do I say? It's like Mr. Krabs like producing like. It's like Mr. Krabs sees like horror movies are a thing, and then he decides to get rich off the movies by making repetitive, like making every single movie repetitive, but still makes a lot of money. For example, yeah, they have jump. Yeah, most horror movies have jump scares. Most horror movies have dumb characters, like less than zero IQ characters, tropes that are so bad that it makes you roll your eyes. But there is once in a blue moon when good horror movies, yeah, come out. For example, the Evil Dead remake from 2013. I did not expect anything to come out of this remake other than, oh, it's just copy paste from the first movie. But hell no, I was intrigued by it. Let's see what else. Child's Play kind of re-innovated the whole doll killer, the killer doll, the killer doll aspect of horror films. Like it existed before Child's Play, but like it was like the film that really kicked up the subgenre. Nightmare on Elm Street created one of the most iconic horror icons of all time. Heck, maybe the most popular. But there is one horror movie that I don't see a lot of people talking about. It's wicked, it's insane, and it has like probably great acting. It's a director. Its director is the same as the Evil Dead 2013 remake, and it's Don't Breathe. And at first, I thought this movie was made by Sam Raimi when it was coming out, but no, it turns out he only like produced it. But I remember like when this movie came out when I was like somewhere in middle school. I was really kind of not excited for it. But then my friends were like, "Oh, the movie's so good. You need to see it. You need to see it." And then I saw it on like YouTube, the movie, like the full movie on YouTube one day. I watched it, and the movie does like it actually has great elements. It actually does have redemption. It like you care for the characters, and Stephen Lang's acting in this movie is incredible. And just like the film, I was holding my breath at some scenes. Like I forgot I was watching a movie, and I literally saw myself in the situation the characters were in. And yeah, the scene at the ending of the film, like the climax of the film was pretty sick. That I almost kind of turned over. Like the whole ending of the film is about the main girl getting kidnapped in the guy's basement, and then he tries to inseminate her because his family got killed by a drunk driver. So now he's like, "Now I'm gonna make a new family," and he literally tries to put his nut inside like this teenage girl, and it was very very horrifying for a PG-13 film. I think it was PG-13. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, Don't Breathe. I think it's an underrated film, and it deserves a lot of attention, even though what I just said about the basement. But then something happened in 2019, and 2020, 2021, I don't know. But, or like somewhere in the 2020s, they were announcing a sequel to Don't Breathe. And I said to myself, Don't Breathe, I don't see Don't Breathe as like a type of movie that needs sequels. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, like the first one, it kind of deserved a sequel because the stupid ending, with like the sex doll thing. But the sequel wasn't really a sequel; it's a continuation of the legacy of the villain. Like horror movies don't need sequels, but when they do, they usually comes out good in a good way, or bad in a good way, or just bad in a bad way. So there's three choices that it goes. But Don't Breathe 2. It came out in the bad portion, in the bad section, in the useless portion. This movie didn't need to exist at all. Like Don't Breathe 1 was already great on its own. If they had to make a sequel of it, they didn't have to make it around anyone, because like I said, it doesn't deserve a sequel. There's no continuation for the film. Like they don't say anything extra about the story of the girl, because she already got what she wanted in the first film. She wanted to get money to escape her abusive household with her little sister, and there was no like redemption arc for the villain. He was insane. And like first film already closed off the girl's ending. She did get the money. Yeah, she got the money, and yeah, she got the money, and she got the money, and then yeah, she got the money, and then she fled with her little sister. But in the sequel, it doesn't follow her story. It follows the villain's story. And you might think this might be kind of like a Freddy Krueger situation where it's like, oh, look at that, they're gonna make the villain even more funnier. No, there's no improvement on in here except we see exactly what he does in the first film, but even more gruesome. In the sequel, he finds a little girl, and then he's like, huh, that kind of looks like my daughter. And then they have a bond, and then she gets kidnapped by a bunch of people, and then this person goes on full out Rambo and uses his military skills to kill them one by one. And that's basically the whole movie. You don't need to see Don't Breathe 2. All you need to know is that blind Vietnam veteran finds girl. They develop friendship over first half of film. She get kidnapped. Military guy killed people who kidnap her. That's all you need to know. I just literally told you the movie. I don't need to tell you any scenes. I don't need to tell you anything that happens in the movie. That's literally all that freaking happens in Don't Breathe 2. And I already said a bunch of negatives. Like, for example, it's useless, doesn't need to exist. Literally, the plot of the film, the synopsis of the film is the entire film. And also the one thing, and also it doesn't leave off any continuation that happened in the first film. In the first film, none of the characters had an opening arc to even have a sequel, but they somehow decided to do it with the villain. Don't Breathe 1 did have a good box office success, but that doesn't mean that should already have another sequel. And speaking of the sequel, I didn't think it'd do good because it was like released during COVID and they released it on digital. And isn't it like kind of like 500 digital movies equals to like one portion of sales? Yeah, that's not good. And don't watch this movie. If don't watch this movie, it's not good. But do I have something good about it? Kills are gruesome, and Stephen Lang is actually kind of good in this film, even though he plays like the Colonel in Avatar. And yeah, this film is basically Keanu Reeves, Rambo and like Rambo. It's kind of like Rambo mixed with Equalizer, kind of. Except in Equalizer, it's dead. It's friends being killed. So it's basically kind of like a Taken mixed with Rambo, where it's like daughter gets taken away, and then for taking his daughter gets taken away from a guy who was a retired veteran, with Rambo with the traps and the way that he kills his opponents. That's basically all you need to know about Don't Breathe 2. Don't get excited for it. Don't even say, I'm planning on watching this movie. Just watch Don't Breathe 1 and you'll have all the excitement in the world. You literally feel fresh watching that movie. Not fresh as in dope. I'm talking fresh as in, oh, look, I watched something completely original. So yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about a horror movie. I just watched Sean Chandler like talking about the Evil Dead movies, and I just first thing that got up on my head was Don't Breathe 2. So yeah, don't say Don't Breathe 2 is a masterpiece or something, because that movie's bland AF. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. What's some good horror movies that you know? Because I really want to touch on the aspect of horror, if you will. I'm really looking something forward to I'm looking forward to something seeing new because I'm mostly watching animated movies, action films, superhero films. Horror, I'm never really tapped into it. I barely scratched the surface for it. Like I only licked the first sour layer of the lemon head of like the warhead lemon head of the horror movie. Like there's still so many layers to uncover, and I really want to touch on that genre of horror. So yeah, see you next time. I'm sorry for this really post. I really didn't know what to post about.